Hi, this is Kimberly. God almighty, son. What did Netflix do? Copyright claim everybody on YouTube or something? Well, yes, they did. I already talked about it in my other video. Plus, it's all over YouTube. Hope you enjoy this slightly revised video. Much love and peace. Thank you for listening. Hi, this is Kimberly. This is a synopsis and a critique of Chapter 24 of the book Letters from Christopher, Tragic Confessions of the Watts Family Murders by Cheryln Cadle. This chapter is titled The Arrest, Plea, and Sentencing. So, right off the bat, I see that Mrs. Scribble, which of course is Scribe and Cadle put together, my newest name for her, but right off the bat, she just copied and pasted 12 fucking pages of worthless, superficial nonsense. Shit that she can tell us about in a few sentences, but instead, she's doing the page filler bullshit again. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this, and I've read true crime off and on for a number of years. This is not impressive in the least. One expects to be enlightened by a book hyped up as much as this one. New information. I talked to this nincompoop myself. It's not that I was expecting an impressive display of skill. I had seen the promos, mind you. But I was expecting and hoping that some of our questions would be answered, since she actually got to communicate with this fucktard. So naturally, I will read most of this stuff to you because it is public information. I don't get why she was hitting people with copyright strikes that were reading from her book in the beginning, other than her introduction and dedication, and I'm confident if I went back and checked on the intro, it's probably been lifted too. However, I've seen very little, and I'm talking about microscopic parts of this book she actually wrote herself. What a charlatan. Copied. Scribble goes back to copying her favorite CBI agent, Tammy Lee. I'll just quote the astute agent here, and you'll know how the chapter starts. This is what Tammy said, quote, I returned to the interview room and asked Chris if a Frederick Police Department officer could photograph him without a shirt on to make sure he didn't have any marks or injuries on him. Chris agreed, and Officer Matt James photographed Chris's face, head, arms, chest, back, hands, and legs. Officer James advised me the photographs will be turned into their digital evidence storage system. Copied. Again, I will quote Officer James from Discovery so you will know exactly what was in the book. Quote, at approximately 23:02 hours, I entered the interview room and placed Chris into custody via handcuffs. A belly belt was placed on him and his hands were secured in the front. I then transported Chris to the Weld County Jail. Throughout the ride, which was recorded via body camera, I did not ask Chris any questions and he did not make any statements. Chris was released to the custody of jail staff at approximately 0000 hours and 3 minutes. Scribbles, with her erroneous information, said in the book that he was released to the jail at 3 a.m. How the hell are you unsuccessful with copy and paste? This is one of the most simple and basic of computer skills. There are several online tutorials that I suggest she partake of rather than all of these interviews. Isn't she embarrassed? Probably not. Then she talks about strange happenings going on at the Watts house between the time of Chris Watts being arrested and his sentencing. She suggests that these strange things were evil, presenting itself in different forms. Quote, strange things connected to the story, such as one evening not long after the murders, the police were called, the neighbors seeing a woman walking around the garage, end quote. She copies part of Officer Manley's report for a long paragraph about the garage lights being on at Dumbass's home and a woman walking around the garage. Bullshit. First of all, this ignorant sentence makes no sense. Quote, the neighbor seeing a woman walking around in the garage, end quote. How can you see someone walking in the garage? You can't. Remember the very tall teenager Nick, the son of Nicole Atkinson? He was standing on her car to see if Shanann's car was in the garage. The report was that a woman walked up to the front door of the house and is not seen leaving. In this quote from the book, there was no way out of the garage without coming into the house without opening the big garage door. What the fuck is she saying? I saw an interview where she was trying to explain away all of the spelling and grammar mistakes. She said she was told to just write. Just write. Right. and they would take care of the proofreading. Does she not have any pride in her work? Some of these sentences that make zero sense, you can't have a proofreader fix that, especially on a true story. And some of this shit requires fact checking. I doubt seriously she had that available to her. But let's go back to the writing part. Just write. That's horse shit. What did she write other than a few incoherent sentences of conjecture? Stick a fork in me. I am done. I am beyond done. Okay, so let's get back to these peculiar happenings, which I don't think they are. These are normal occurrences, in my opinion. Police events that occur after a high-profile crime like this, and then the home is just sitting abandoned. It brings some of the crazies out of the woodwork. On September 21st, 2018, the police received yet another message from some unknown person who said, quote, "Her deceased daughter's back door is open at her house. This is the home of Shanann Watts," end quote. A second call was made that evening regarding the same matter. Scribble got the time wrong again. It was actually 9:50 p.m. and not 8:50 p.m. as stated in the chapter. She apparently has no clue how to convert military time. Another reason I call her Scribble is because she produced this book carelessly and in a hurry. You know, like when a child scribbles and then proudly presents the drawing to you, even though they know they failed to do their damnedest on it. Quote, "The video showed a large black vehicle pulling up to the address 2825 Saratoga Trail, and then an unknown female stepped out of the vehicle and walked up to the front door of the house," end quote. I am quite exasperated with this copyist. No, damn it. In order to construct this flimsy excuse for a publication? Damn it, woman, I wanted you to ask that knobhead worthless chicken shit piece of shit what was going on in that peanut head at sentencing. When his leg was jumping up and down 90 miles per hour, what was he so agitated about? And what was up with that one lone conspicuous and dramatic sissy tear that rolled down his face? Was that the first time he ever cried? Was he just crying for show? Bloody hell, I don't need or want his arrest papers duplicated in the book. I can get that shit on the internet for free. Was there no one to copy from? Is this why you failed to ask questions of him? This book is called Letters from Christopher. Where are the freaking letters? Are they at the end so that you are forcing your readers to stick around until then? Copycat Cadle asks, quote, "What or who was playing with this house? Was it something supernatural? Research shows often demons will play with lights and electronic things," end quote. Here we go again with the research shows bullshit without making reference to where she got the so-called information. Why is she saying this? And she is talking about demons casually as though they are tangible, out walking around and everybody sees them and believes them to be existent. Well, I mean, Chris Watts is real and he's a demon, but you know what I mean, right? This whole book we've been getting these vague suggestions of evil and dark and supernatural. Tell us what Nimrod said about it. Or is this something that you, Mrs. Scribble, are making up and surmising? Either way, get on with it or shut up. Please indulge me and tolerate my reading this little gem once more. Quote, "Research shows often demons will play with lights and electronic things," end quote. If anyone is going to play with electronic things, it will be Shanann, flipping the switch on the chair. You know, the chair. They can trick him. Tell him he's been named king of the prison. Here is your throne nicknamed Old Sparky. But first, we must fasten these electrodes to your head and legs for the flashy celebration show. I've noticed throughout this book, Scribble never commits to anything she has written herself. She will ask rhetorical questions, or she will say some non-committal shit like, "You decide." Another set of questions she posed was, quote, "Who turned the lights on? Who turned them off?" End quote. Whoa. That is some deep reflection and contemplation, Mrs. Copycat. Thank you for scrutinizing this case so thoroughly. Scribble says that Chris's family was not allowed to see him until the day before the sentencing. This is echoed by a video Mama Watts did bitching about everything. When I hear her complaining, it makes my ears hurt. I'll include this interview at the end of the video for those that would like to watch it in full. It's around 22 minutes, but it's an enlightening psychedelic trip into the world of Watts. Scribble said, quote, His mother, in her quest to find out what had really happened, met with many dead ends, end quote. But of course, as usual, doesn't elaborate. Damn, this is so infuriating. But I think I might know what she's referring to. The letter that someone wrote on Cindy Watts' behalf to Judge Chpt, whining and bellyaching about not being able to talk to her beloved weakling mama boy's son. It seems I remember Shitface refused to talk to his mother, but I don't know that for sure. The Greeley Tribune said, quote, the court received an email from a K. Allman, end quote, an assumed representative for Cindy and Ronnie Watts. In the letter to Judge Chpt, Allman claims the Colorado Public Defender's Office, which is defending Watts, has denied Cindy and Ronnie access to their son. Cindy, Ronnie, and an unnamed sister finally gained access to Watts for 30 minutes the night before the sentencing hearing, Allman claims. Cindy asked her son if a plea deal is what he wanted. Quote, do not ask him that or we will shut this expletive down now, end quote, said an unnamed attorney before Watts could respond, according to Allman's letter. Allman said that type of bullying has been common in the Watts family dealings with the public defender's office. Quote, it is the opinion of Mr. Watts' family that he has been coerced, has been denied his constitutional rights, and more, all in an attempt to quickly close this case, end quote, Allman wrote. Quote, they want to have a new attorney speak to Chris on their behalf to determine if this is a true confession or one that is based on inhumane treatment at the hands of the Public Defender's Office of Weld County, end quote. Allman closed the letter by saying Cindy Watts wanted to speak to Judge Chpt about her son's case and possible mistreatment. Chpt issued an order saying he was barred from having any conversations about the case outside of the courtroom, end quote. And of course, that was all from the Greeley Tribune. Scribble claims, quote, Christopher's attorney flew Ronnie, Cindy, and Jamie to Colorado to see him before he was sentenced, end quote. I assume Chris told her this as it would not be in the discovery, but I do know she has embellished before, so I'm starting to be cautious about anything she says that I can't verify. Do you blame me? Dickhead just talks in circles. He claims, according to Scribble, that he pled guilty to the murders for a reason, but he never fucking elaborates. Why the mystery, Scooby-Doo? Quote, Chris said, there is a reason why I didn't, that I came in because, there's a reason why I didn't come in with a lawyer either. So I just and this is gonna happen so, end quote. Huh? Is he fucking high? I can't understand him. Allow me to read it again. It's gold. Chris said, quote, there's a reason why I didn't, that I came in because, there's a reason why I didn't come in with a lawyer either. So I just and this is gonna happen so, end quote. Okay. I'll give you a moment to process P-Brain's statement. Scribble said in the book in a sentence that she actually wrote herself, quote, the state of Colorado automatically gives a life sentence to someone who murders another individual. Is this true? It's a first-degree murder that automatically gets life. Yeah, I looked it up. Since she has a history of lying, reporting inaccurate information. So I find it difficult to give credence to anything she says now. Further exploring the chapter, we get to the part where Mrs. Rusick asks very strongly of the DA to not seek the death penalty for Nimrod, and how this may show how Mrs. Rusick, spelled wrong throughout the book, mind you, but how this may show how Mrs. Rusick loved her son-in-law more than he realized. Again, conjecture. Personally, I think Mrs. Rusick's position on the death penalty more likely may have stemmed from her Catholic religion. That's just my thought. And then another sentence that was not proofread. Quote, she is to be commended her for that, end quote. Referring to Mrs. Rusick not wanting the death penalty. Oh, brother, this is getting tedious. Scribble declares Chris Watts was going to confess to the murders no matter what, even if they had not gotten damning evidence against him. But first he had to remember, because if you recall from earlier in the book, the trauma of him committing the murders caused P-Brain to have a bit of memory loss. Well, bless his heart. He also indicated that he had to feign remorse after the murders. Dickhead says, according to the book, that he felt nothing. Felt nothing. That is so scary to me, and I don't understand. It makes me want to hurl when I think about him and his empty head and his empty heart. Supposedly, self-absorbed Chris also told Scribble that he doesn't like it when people hate him. Oh man, stop being a crybaby. I found this from Asshat's letter on Daily Mail. Quote, I wish I could have had an open ear to hear the Lord calling me back in June, July, and August. If we run after sin, we won't hear our shepherd calling us. I couldn't discern between the good spirits and the evil spirits, and that eventually lodged me into a deep pit I couldn't climb back out of. End quote. Here we go with the good spirits and the evil spirits. Gee, if only he could have discerned the good and the bad. Does he even use words like discern? And I guess his statement of, I wish I could have had an open ear to hear the Lord calling me, is the closest thing to repentance we will ever hear from that obnoxious and revolting chicken shit bastard, reprehensible piece of shit. Quote from the book. Christopher said they had some very angry, very stressful times going over the case and what his options were. He said he felt heartless, angry, and defiant up until October 1st, when it all broke for him, end quote. Okay, what in the Sam Hill are you talking about? Why doesn't Scribbles expand upon this statement? I looked up October 1st in the Discovery, and that was the day they took his footprints. Okay, and I'm sorry, but I don't see the freaking connection. Oh my God, this is truly exasperating. So she then copy and pastes the written waiver and guilty plea in every single page of what went along with it, including agreement. Defendant will plead guilty to all counts set forth in the complaint and information. All of the counts and etc., everything that went along with it. I will give you a link to the PDF. I am not going to read this crap out loud. It's boring and repetitious. 12 full pages of the book. Was that even freaking necessary? No, hell no. There was no need other than to fill pages. I am not impressed. I don't think Scribble comprehends writing a book. You know, if she did that shit at school, she would have earned a failing grade. And the chapter ends with Scribble telling us that Chris Dumbfuck Watts was given the maximum sentence the law would allow other than death. Where are all the new revelations that I feel like I was promised with this book? There's absolutely nothing new, and I'm bored to tears. There is nothing to talk about here. It's all discovery or court papers. I was hoping the scribe would have chronicled and presented Christopher's story in detail. She talked to him, for God's sake. Or did she? Out of curiosity, I checked Amazon, and this paperback is only 2.5 stars. No surprise there. Perhaps it can be used for a DIY craft project. When I was a kid, we would take a phone book and fold down all the pages into a triangle. Then we would spray paint it and decorate it as a Christmas tree. No joke. For those of you too young to know, a phone book back in the day listed names, addresses, and phone numbers of the people and businesses in your area. This was back when one could also make prank phone calls without anyone finding out who you were. A favorite of mine and my 2 older brothers, when the parents would be out running errands, was, we just thought we were funny as shit. One of our favorites was posing as someone from the electric company. We would call and ask if their refrigerator was running. When they said yes, and some people would actually lay down the phone receiver and check, but when they said yes, their refrigerator was running, we would tell them, well, you better go catch it, and slam down the receiver and laugh hysterically till we nearly pissed our pants, and no one could trace the call back to you. Those were the days. Regarding the corresponding discovery that Scribbles copies into this chapter, I'll read them in their entirety at the end of this video, but I'm not going to read the 12 pages of written waiver and guilty plea bullshit. I'll post a link in the description, as I said earlier. I just can't believe that she did that insolent damn nonsense of pasting all of that in there. And don't forget the special treat that I've included afterwards of listening to Cindy chatter incessantly about her son. And I'm also going to provide a link for instructions on how to make a Christmas tree out of this book. And that will be the end of this video. I will pick up at chapter 25 in the next one. Thank you for listening. This is Officer Matthew James' report. On 8/15/2018, at approximately 8:15 p.m., I transported Chris Watts' father, Ronnie, from the Frederick Police Department to area hotels near Firestone Boulevard and the East I-25 frontage road. Before leaving, Ronnie collected his duffel bag from the back of the white Lexus SUV. There were other items in the trunk of the SUV, and he advised the bag was the only item that was his. Ronnie went inside 3 hotels in the area, 2 of which he said did not have any vacancies. He advised me he was going to stay at Comfort Inn Suites located at 11292 Business Park Circle, Firestone, Colorado. At approximately 10:05 p.m., I took photos of Chris while he was in the interview room at the Frederick Police Department. The photos I took were of him with his shirt off, his hands, head, neck, and face. There was a red mark on the left side of his neck that he identified as being a mosquito bite. There was also a red mark on the front of his neck. I did not observe any other obvious signs of injury to Chris Watts' body. See photos. At approximately 11:02 p.m., I entered the interview room and placed Chris into custody via handcuffs. A belly belt was placed on him and his hands were secured in the front. I then transported Chris to the Weld County Jail. Throughout the ride, which was recorded via body camera, I did not ask Chris any questions and he did not make any statements. Chris was released to the custody of jail staff at approximately 12:03 a.m. No further information. Officer M. James, Frederick Police Department. This report is from Officer Ivan Perez. On 9/21/18 at approximately 9:05 p.m., I assisted Sergeant Manley at 2825 Saratoga Trail regarding an unknown person seen around the residence. Upon arrival, Sergeant Manley was advised the neighbor from 2905 Saratoga Trail had video of a vehicle pulling up to the address 2825 Saratoga Trail, and then an unknown female stepped out of the vehicle. Sergeant Manley was advised the cameras never show the female leaving the address, and the inside garage light was turned on, and the inside garage lights were turned on when they are normally off. I entered the home along with Officer Kate, Sergeant Manley, Officer Cooksey, Officer Fratelli. Sergeant Manley made loud announcements prior to entering the home and did not hear anything. Officers cleared the main floor of the home and did not find anything. Officers then cleared the garage, basement, and then the second floor of the house and did not locate anyone in the residence. Sergeant Manley gave loud verbal announcement prior to entering any areas in the home, but no one responded. Nothing appeared to be out of place in the home. All lights in the home were turned off after officers finished clearing the whole house. Nothing further. Officer Perez, Frederick Police Department. This is a report from Officer Brent Manley. On September 21st, 2018, at about 6:05 p.m., I, Sergeant Manley, was advised by Weld County Dispatch of a suspicious incident at 2825 Saratoga Trail within the town limits of Frederick, Colorado. I was advised that the reporting party, Sandy, stated she got a text message from an unknown number, and the text stated that the back door to 2825 Saratoga Trail was open. Sandy said there should not be anyone in or near the house at this time. I arrived at the house with Officer Lyons. We walked up to the front door of the house and tried to open the front door. The door was secure. I looked through the windows on both sides of the door and did not see anything out of place or any sign that someone had made entry into the house. Officer Lyons and I walked around the front of the house to access the gate to the backyard. I tried to pick up on both garage doors to ensure they were still secure. As we walked around the house, I was looking at all windows and screens. I did not see anything out of place or that would indicate that someone gained access to the house from the windows. We walked around the back of the house. I noticed that on the back door that the screen door was slid open. I walked up the steps and observed the door was closed and there was a security bar in place preventing anyone from entering through the door. The curtains were in place and did not seem disrupted. After looking to see that all windows and doors appeared secure in the back of the house, we walked back up front. As I was walking by the garage, I noticed that the garage lights were on. I did not recall that the lights were on when I walked up the first time. The house appeared secure at this time, and I did not see any indication that someone had been in or around the house. Officer Lyons and I cleared without incident. At about 7:51 p.m., I was contacted by dispatch again. I was told a Frank Rusick called in stating that he spoke to the neighbor Nate. According to Frank, Nate stated that the garage lights were still on and they had not been on in the days past. I responded back to the address and spoke with Nate. He was able to show me video from his Xfinity home security system on his phone. He showed me that a female walked up to the house at about 9 a.m. and was seen walking up to the front door. There is no video of the female leaving the area, and shortly after there is a black SUV that is seen passing the house slowly. Nate was able to show me 3 different videos showing the black SUV going slowly by the house shortly after the female was seen walking to the front door. I did not see anyone leave the vehicle and approach the house and did not see anyone come from the house and get into the vehicle. I was able to use the ladder that Nate provided and looked into the top windows of the garage. I did not see anything that indicated anyone was in the garage, and it did not appear anyone went through anything in there. Nate explained that he had spoken with other neighbors in the area, and they also had not seen any lights on in the garage in the last few days. While I was looking in the windows, I pushed on the garage, sounding an alarm. I spoke to Frankie by phone. He told me that he did not think the lights should have been on either. I told him about the alarm, and he stated that he did not think the alarm was set when he left the residence a few weeks prior. He asked if we would clear the house and make sure no one was in the house. They provided me with a door code for the front door. I explained that I would get a few more officers at the house and we would make sure there was no one there. Officer Lyons, Officer Perez, Danco Officer Cooksey, and Danco Officer Fratelli arrived on scene. With the image of the party walking up to the door and not seen leaving the house and the lights on in the garage, I wanted to make sure we cleared the house as safely as possible. All 5 of us walked up to the door. I put in the door code and unlocked the front door. I opened the door and made several announcements. Frederick Police, anyone in the house. Frederick Police, if you're in the house, make yourself known. I did not hear or see anything in the house. I made these announcements several times while we worked through the house, clearing room by room. We did not locate anyone in the house and did not observe anything out of place or something that was obviously missing. We checked all cabinets and closets along with rooms. As we left the house, the garage lights were turned off, and all of the lights we turned on while searching the house were turned off as we left the residence. I was able to secure the front door to the house and check to make sure the door was locked. I spoke with Nate again and advised him that there was no one in the house and that if he would be able to look at his cameras again and if he could see when the female left the area and if there was a vehicle associated. As on 9/22/18, I had not heard from Nate. I was wearing a body camera during this time. The audio and video recording have been added to this report. End of report. Sergeant B. Manley, Frederick Police Department. Thank you for listening.
him every morning just crying, thinking this is not going to be what's going to happen every single day. It's just so hard to get through it. I just don't know how to get through it.
Tell me about his childhood. Did he play sports? Was he in scouts? What kinds of things did
Yes,
he
he
do?
played sports. He played sports from the time he was 5 years old up until he was 17. And he was in basketball, he was in baseball, he was in football, and loved NASCAR. He and his dad went to the NASCAR races all the time. Loved sports. And he was a good kid. Had two best friends, and that's who he grew up with, and still are friends with them today. And there's nothing that would have predicted any of this could have ever happened.
Yeah.
Nothing in his childhood at all. I would have never in a million years thought something like this could happen to him at all.
You didn't see things like him getting into fights? Or...
No fighting. He was quiet, and he got along with people, and he didn't start anything, and he was a perfect teenager, tell you the truth. He did not even rebel. He wanted to go to NASCAR Tech. We made that possible for him.
What did he do after he finished school?
He worked at the dealership as a service technician and was making good money and loved it. He bought a toolbox, and he started buying his tools, and enjoyed it. He was doing well.
When and where did he meet Shanann?
They met, and he liked her, she liked him, but it didn't, I don't think that was love at first sight or anything. They took a little while and I guess got to know each other and, dated. It was always a little strange that she always said a lot of things about Chris in front of me that I didn't like. Like, this isn't the kind of person I would date. He doesn't know how to do this, or he doesn't know how to do that. He looks like a skater boy. Look at his hair. Look how much stuff he puts on his hair. It was just on and on and on, and I just got a bad feeling.
And they got married in 2012. Did they get married in North Carolina?
They did. Mm-hmm.
How was that?
We didn't attend.
Really?
Mm-mm. We didn't attend because Shanann and I just couldn't get along, and I didn't like the way she treated him.
What do you know about their marriage and their issues?
Oh, very little, very little. You can only observe. I could only observe what I saw when I was around them. Christopher always seemed anxious, and he when she needed something, I mean, he would run. He wouldn't walk, he would run, he would get it. He just always seemed to be right there at her beck and call.
And did that seem odd to you? Or?
Very odd. It was very odd. He just seemed nervous.
So how much did you see them over these last 6 years?
Probably twice a year. We would go up there.
Did you stay with them, or?
Yeah, we would stay with them, and stay a week, and then come back home.
Tell me about Bella and Celeste.
Oh, Bella was just like Chris, just like him, shy, cautious, conservative. Cece was a ball of fire. I mean, she was fearless, completely fearless. She just loved to run, 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 run. So they were wonderful. It breaks my heart to know that they're not here. They were beautiful children, beautiful children.
What did they call you?
Mimi.
Mimi? And how about Ronnie? What did they call?
Papa.
Do you think Chris loves Shanann?
Oh God, he loved her. Yes, I believe he loved her at first. I believe he did. But I think as the years went on, I think it just being in that kind of a relationship, which the social worker even said that marriage should have ended a long time ago.
Shanann's pregnancy and was, what did Chris tell you about that? Was he excited?
No, I don't think he was. I think it was a shock to him. And he said that they have been talking about divorce, that they are not compatible anymore, and he was not happy anymore. And I finally thought, he's finally seen the light.
And I take it Chris had never been in trouble with the law?
Never. He's got one speeding ticket and didn't even know about that.
Tell me what happened when they were reported missing. What did you find out? How did you find out? Who told you?
I think Ronnie called me. Ronnie called me and said that they're missing, and I thought, I don't believe it. I didn't believe they were missing. I believed that she was going to punish Chris. She was just going to punish him, take the girls, and just punish him. I had no idea of anything else. Christopher called and said, Mom, they're searching the house. I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, and I still was not worried. I was not worried. I just thought Shanann had run off with girls.
So walk me through the sequence of events over the next few days. Did you and your husband travel to Colorado?
Ronnie did.
Okay.
Ronnie did. And I mean, Christopher let everybody come in. Her phone is there. Her purse is there. Everything is there. But there's no kids and there's no Shanann. And I was not worried. I thought, she has just gone off and I'm going to punish you for this and you can worry about me. But when Christopher called us and he said, I said, do you want us to come down now? He said, tell Dad I need him. Tell Dad I need him to come down. I said, what about me? He said, no, Mom, just stay. Just send Dad. And he picked him up at the airport and they drove to the police station. And Chris still didn't say anything to him. Nothing. He had already been interrogated 7 hours prior to that. He had already let the police go into his home, search everything. He was going in for another interrogation. The next thing, after 5 hours, they called Ronnie and said that your son wants to talk to you before he tells us anything. And that's when Christopher broke down and cried and said, I'm sorry, Dad. He said, I went into a rage and I killed her after she killed Cece and Bella. And he found out where he is and then they wouldn't let him see him. He couldn't see him. And so he was going back to the airport when his public defender called him and told him to come back. And that's when Ronnie met his public defender. And so talked to her for a while, and they kept in touch with us and let us know what's going on.
And then what was the next update that you got? Was it?
The next update I got was Ronnie called Jamie and told them they found their bodies. And they rushed over here. Nobody told me anything until they walked through the door. And they told me what happened, and I just fell to the floor. I just fell to the floor. It was unbelievable. And it's been unbelievable ever since. And
what did his attorneys tell you about contact with him, starting with his
none.
arrest?
No contact. Everything is recorded. No contact. No letter writing. I didn't see the harm in the letters. Hi son, love you, keep fighting. We are here to support you. What is wrong with that? What can the DA do about letters like this? Why couldn't we just write him a letter? We did what we were told to do. When they called us to tell us that Chris was thinking of a plea, that he wanted to speak to us about it. And when we got down there, it was a lie. They wouldn't let us talk to him about anything. And then we had to talk to him through a screen and a phone. And he just looked, he was crying. I mean, he wasn't crying. You could see the movement in his mouth that when I talked about Bella and I talked about Cece and the memorial service that we had for them. And he asked what pictures did we use, and what was the song. You can see how he was trying to hold back tears.
What day was that? Do you remember?
Well, we flew in on that Monday. We flew in on Monday, and we saw him Monday night, and then the plea deal was on Tuesday.
So Monday night was when you wanted to talk to him about it?
Yes, and we weren't allowed. And it would have helped us so much to be able to talk to him. I wouldn't have to go through all this now. Everything just seems to be shrouded in secrecy. And just tell us what is going on. Let us ask Chris if it's okay if you talk to us. I just don't like the way it was handled from the very beginning. I don't like the way it was handled. I want to save your life, that's all. We're just here, we're going to save his life. We want him to get life in prison. It was like they already knew he was guilty. And this was the end of it.
Were you worried about the death penalty being a possibility?
No, I didn't care about the death penalty. Nobody's going to die in Colorado. I don't think anyone has, one person? And Colorado is changing. So people stay on death row forever. There was I think he'd be safer on death row. And her parents said they didn't want any more death. So I don't see how the death penalty could have mattered. All I want is the truth. I just want the truth. That's it. And I know Chris, he would take responsibility. And I guess maybe he is. I don't know. I just can't see him doing that.
What do you think the truth is about how Shanann and Bella and Celeste died?
Oh, God, I don't know anymore, honestly. I don't know his frame of mind, and I don't know his frame of mind. Because why would you plead guilty to something you didn't do? And that's all I want to know. Why would you plead guilty if you didn't do it? If you told your dad you didn't do it? And that's what I want to know. And they said, well, you'll find all that out. Christopher will talk to you when and after he's sentenced. Well, isn't that too late then? I mean, isn't it too late? What if he tells me, no, I didn't do it? I just took this plea deal because they told me I was going to go to jail anyways. I just want the truth. All of us just want the truth. That's all. But I would like to know what triggered it. How can a normal young man, and he's normal, he was normal, but he wasn't evaluated when he came into the system. He wasn't normal if he did this.
It must be bewildering.
It's bewildering to me. It is absolutely. How does this happen? How did this happen? And I go back in my mind thinking, was there something I didn't pick up with on Chris? But I can't think of anything except he was quiet.
It sounds like in your own mind, you're unsure as to what happened.
Yes.
Have you reconciled the idea that he could have done all of this?
Yes. And that scares me to death. It scares me to death to think that he could have done all of this. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there right now. But I don't see why he's pleading guilty. I wouldn't. I'd fight. I'd fight to the end. But then you ask yourself, would a normal person dispose of the bodies the way you did? And I would have called 911 if it happened like that.
What would you say to Chris right now if he were sitting here?
If we were by ourselves,
Yeah.
I would say, Christopher, I need to know what happened that night. I need to know what happened. I've got to get these thoughts out of my head, what I think could have happened, but I need to know. And I think in time he will tell me.
Probably nothing you ever would have imagined you would have faced.
Never. Never. No, and not from the son that I raised and Ronnie raised and our children, you know. We just did everything for them. We worked for them. We wanted them to have a good life, good education. And we stressed education. And they were both doing well. I thought, you know, I knew marriages can be bad, but you can get out of them and go on. But I don't know what was going through anybody's mind that night. I mean, I feel too much. I mean, I definitely feel everything way too much and have a conscience that I just feel way too much.
What do you want to happen now? What would you hope would happen now?
Well, I want Chris to have his day in court. I mean, I need to know. I mean, I'd feel wonderful if I could talk to him and he could tell me what happened. And then we can all go on. But if he didn't do it, if he did not do this, then I need somebody to defend him. I need someone to defend him if he did not do this. Do they have the evidence? He's my son. I got to do everything I've got to do everything I can to help, to make sure that he is defended properly. But he said this was his decision, so I don't know. There's doubt. I have doubt that he did it. I can't see that he did it. I just cannot see him doing that as much as he loved his girls. How do you do that? I just don't see it. I just can't see him doing it. I just wanted to make sure that he has, I just wanted a defense. I wanted him to be defended.
And you haven't had any discussions with his attorneys about this?
No. I asked them, do you know what happened? They said no. We don't. Only person that knows what happened is Chris. Well, then he's told you his story, you know, in the affidavit. They said they would defend him if he wanted to go forward, but he said he didn't want to go forward.
And the bottom line is you would have liked to have been part of that discussion with him before you made that decision.
That's what I thought we were going down there for. At least let us talk to him. Let us talk to him. It would have made all the difference in the world if they would have just let us talk to him. If he was going to do this, what difference does it make who's listening? But he has our love. He has our unconditional love. I will never abandon my son. He did a horrible, horrible, if that comes to pass, that he did this, then I still love him. He's my son. And I will always love him. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I don't understand that, why they don't.
Well, could you talk a little bit about some things we talked about yesterday? You said, I think your exact words were, he's not the psychopath next door.
He isn't. He's not the sociopath next door. He's not the psychopath. He didn't kill little small animals. He didn't do any of these things. He was a good child. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that was abnormal about him, except he was socially awkward. He had trouble socializing, but so did I when I was younger. I think you learn that as you grow, and I think he felt a little bit more comfortable in his skin, and he just, I don't think he just had the right person at his side. I don't. That relationship was toxic from the very beginning.
What would you say to Shanann's family if you could talk to them?
God, I'm so sorry this happened. For both our families, because we both lost everything. They lost a daughter, we lost our son. We lost our grandchildren. We all lost. Everybody did. And you'll never get it back. And they were precious. They were so, so precious.